Crossguard. Happy to have you all here. I'm here today with Josh Olswich. Hey, Josh.
Mr. Brian.
Neither of us can have what we want in life. No World Series teams for us.
Yeah.
I think the Braves or Phillies in the World Series would have made for better ratings. Just saying.
100%.
The TV folks would have liked it. Instead, they have, I don't know, Battle of the Desert. Rangers versus Diamondbacks, which is why everybody's here to listen to this podcast about baseball.
Well, the funny thing is, I remember this from last year that Phillies winning the World Series is a huge recession indicator. So
I did not expect you to go there.
What is it, like 1920, 2008?
Oh boy.
There's another one. There's the three times the Phillies won. So maybe it's best they didn't win.
Yeah, I'd say.
It's interesting that it lined up with that. So we'll see. GDP print though, 4.9%.
The Braves have won 1995. Let's go, baby. Soaring markets in 1995. We're making the bubbles. Yeah. Did the Diamondbacks even exist in 1995? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was a little later. Hey man. Well, we got some good stuff in markets. Oh, I'm showing my bias here with my drawings.
We just need you to stay off the random podcast. This podcast is acceptable to the market, but anytime you go live with anybody else,
yeah. I went on Bankless this week and immediately started going down.
Yeah.
But I had fun talking to those guys. They're I think they're more chill than they have a reputation for. But they like Bitcoin. I talked about Bitcoin most of the time. I talked about Bitcoin more on Bankless than I talk about Bitcoin with you. So if when I'm with you, I let you do that.
That's fair. Well, ETH BTC is dying. Is this the funeral?
Do we need to host a funeral so that it can bottom?
The funeral and then the wake.
You remember the spaces that Udi and a bunch of other people are on where it's the death of ETH funeral, and that was the bottom. We need one of those again.
That'll come probably around 03. I think that's when
Bitcoin has had two very solid weeks, 27K to 34K. No 33K by July, but 33K, before Halloween. Doesn't have a ring to it, but whatever.
My new thing is 250K by 25.
Oh, okay. 250 by 25.
Do you imagine?
I can imagine it. I'm not a big believer in it, but I can imagine it. I like it. I like your target. Just a simple 10x.
ETH to 10, BTC to 250, and that would
hold on.
That would bring the ETH BTC ratio to
predicting a 10x in Bitcoin and a 5x in ETH.
I mean, have you seen ETH lately? It's been really on the struggle bus.
Yeah. ETH BTC at 0.05234 at the time of recording. Looking like it wants to fall below this thing, if you want to call that junction, in mid 2022 support.
This is a chart I would never touch. I would never long. I would be terrified on anything else, right? I think people are just like so attached to ETH. Like, it's okay. You can move around and long BTC and be happy, right?
Yeah. I said the same on Bankless. 0.043 back here to the January 2021. Worst case scenario, in my mind at least, 0.036. Those are pretty big moves. Pretty big moves on a relative basis. But the USD chart is still in no man's land while Bitcoin broke out. But as we know,
well, in the pre-show, I was saying that Alameda is selling all sorts of stuff. They
didn't have any Bitcoin to sell. They sold all that during the bull market.
Yeah. Praise be. So they do have, everything else, right? Including Link, including Sol, including ETH, including the list. There's a massive list, right? Lido and Look On Chain is the Twitter account that's been following these movements. But they've been sending a lot of coins around. typically you don't send coins to a place unless you're selling, but it could be just for custody reasons. I don't know. Anyway, just something else to consider in the moment, right? This isn't over the longer term, it's going to be less of a deal, but in the moment when we're like, why isn't ETH doing anything? Well, there's just a massive seller in the market right now, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, ETH USD looks okay. It doesn't look great, but it looks okay.
What I said last night, 1990. So we've talked about 2000. Everybody has, right? Everybody knows that level. The similar thing with Link. The one good thing about Link is that it had a horizontal for so long. Everybody knew exactly where that level was. People had their stops around that level, right? It was picture perfect setup.
Mm-hmm.
ETH isn't as good, but it's close. So my point here is when ETH breaks 2K, I think it shoots to 3 really quickly, but that's going to take some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like on Link, I mean, you can draw it a couple different ways. I actually think it's cleanest if you go down a bit,
Yeah,
where
right
it had
there.
multiple weekly closes, really just 820 or so.
But
Yeah.
preceding that move, and I think we talked about it. There was a whale moving Link off of exchanges
Mm-hmm.
just continuously. So if we start to see something like that for ETH, that's good. I don't know if we will, but
Yeah. I mean, this chart, pain, if every time it's here, you're buying, then you're just waiting out, not in profit. But I mean, if you manage to time it to get most of that breakout, I mean, it's a heck of a breakout. Beautiful.
50% a week.
Yeah.
50%.
200 week moving average on Chainlink is at 1316. I think that's a reasonable take profit area.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably close to the measured move as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Um,
It depends. So like for Solana, I had a leverage trade that I took profit on in the low 30s.
mhm.
If you're holding like for a multi-cycle play or multi-month cycle
Sure.
play,
Yeah,
then
we're talking about trade though.
right. Yeah. But all those charts could mean revert to their 50% level. So Link to 30, Solana to like 140. But we're talking long time.
You heard it here. Josh Olswich, Solana to 140, which in a log chart looks close to the highs.
Yeah, it does. It's scary.
Link to 30, is that what you said?
Well, look, Bitcoin's 42K level is Link to 30, Sol to 130, 140, whatever it is.
See, that's more ambitious than my targets. I would say, Link 13 to 15, but of course that's nearer term. But I do agree with you. I put this red line, and I think this comes a bit from you. Oops, my low time frame charts here are getting in the way. But this red line at a prior high before we broke down to death is around 47K. And that's also, I believe you mentioned the 1.6 or the 0.618 retrace.
Right. Yeah. Anything above 42, and I'm seriously considering selling some spot up there because
Yeah.
that'd be one heck of a move.
50% retrace is at 41. If you go from weekly close to weekly close, top to bottom,
Right.
0.618 is at 47.
Right.
You said the yearly pivot's at 39,
38, yeah.
38. Yeah, so there's probably some congestion to have.
Well, look,
in
we're up
high
100% year to date. We're still pre-halving. Like we don't typically make all-time highs pre-halving. Just keep that in mind. It's gonna be a journey, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
So I like 42. Anything above that, definitely, especially if we get the recession stuff.
What do you think about if you had the opportunity, like
One shot, mom spaghetti.
yeah, mom spaghetti, like some kind of call selling type of thing in the upper ranges, like selling 50K calls, 60K calls, basically not betting on continuation. That would be a cool way to hedge rather than selling spot or.
Depending on how the ETF stuff pans out, I think that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could jump up there quick, like. I wouldn't do them naked, but if they're covered,
I think you could get into trouble. I mean, we saw a 10% move for really no reason. Like, I don't know. I'm fully expecting the announcement of the ETF to be bullish, and the actual release of the ETF initially. Like, that's how we may sell off in that 40 area, I think, because it's going to take a couple months to actually launch, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
not
I
going to
had
be
this
like,
big yellow box on Bitcoin as what the resistance was.
mhm.
Kinda blew through it. You could narrow that up a good bit, but like you said, this level at 31 or so is pretty clean on the localized version of support and resistance. Um,
Yeah,
so
if we retrace to 31, that's totally fine. 28 is even fine. Really, we want to hold 30s, but if we slip below 28 and then back below 25, then it's a different story. But that's a long ways down from here.
yeah. If there's some kind of bad news though, some negative 10%, this 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 type of thing would not shock you. I
Correct.
promise.
Yeah.
Some kind of retest of that.
And that's for all of the charts that broke out similarly, right? Like Solana to 25 and then bounce, Link to 850 and then bounce. Like, it's all kind of the same thing.
Yeah. But that's a nice candle. I mean, churn right through it, and that's despite. I mean, it initially went because of the Cointelegraph intern, and then it retraced it anyway, went right back up.
And then
Just
the DTCC intern.
oh my gosh, yeah, the DTCC, whatever that. I don't even know what that website is. It's like that's never been an acronym in my life or mattered to me. And people are like, "Oh, this is obvious. ETF is coming." And then some ETF people were like, "Guys, this means literally nothing, like less than nothing." It's like whatever. We're gonna stay up here anyway.
Yeah.
We're anticipating this ETF. You can't stop us. But let's say there's a legitimate like with postponement again of the that makes it clear. Sorry, not happening for another 3 months or 6 months or whatever. That could cause that retrace especially if it's coinciding with some other market mayhem or something.
I think it's also clear that we're getting an ETF eventually. I think
Yeah.
it's
And
probably
I
going to
do
be less
think
than 6 months.
I think, Josh, tell me what you think. I think people are probably underexposed to Bitcoin, and you could see a rally continue right up into that
It
40
feels
something.
like, yeah, it feels like people got offsides on a lot of these moves
Yeah.
based on how they went up so quickly.
Mhm. I agree. I actually think just holding Bitcoin with a little bit of maybe specific high beta exposure, if you're feeling that life, would be totally fine for quite some time. Like let's say into the halving. What's that? 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin usually tops out, what is it, like a year after the halving?
Hmm.
That's
But
why,
it might top out a year after the halving, but it might start underperforming before that if people are getting saucy with other stuff.
sure, saucy, fat and sassy with alts.
But outperforming Bitcoin might be hard for a little while. Like
Yeah,
Bitcoin hadn't done its thing for a minute. If people want to reference back to my "Hear ye, pleb" or tweet or whatever cringe thing I said back when it clearly did not do its thing, but same thing remains true.
yeah, you got to think about the flows. I mean, it's just basic ABC stuff. If your alt doesn't have an ETF, it's probably going to underperform. You know, you've got an army of people selling these products. There's like 10 of them. And so there's like, I don't know, 2,000, let's say,
Yeah, and they can
salespeople, right?
actually go advertise. Like, you could have, like, Sunday Night Football with, "Hey, check out IBTC, Bitcoin ETF. Get exposure to Bitcoin through a easy-to-use secure ETF. Is Bitcoin right for your financial future?"
Yeah. And not only that, like we've had clear divergence from legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are on the train that we're gonna, recouple.
Oh, baby. The
That's
recoupling.
that's okay, we might, but we're not right now. I'm not gonna trade the recoupling if we're not recoupling.
Mhm.
We have done extremely well in the face of just absolute death on legacy. Look at that chart.
Yeah, that's bad.
Now, the one thing I'll
Daily
say about this, everybody seems to be getting turbo bearish, and this happens at the bottom.
at support.
at
like
support.
literally where it broke out from.
So I'm not like a super optimistic bull here, but I would just keep in mind, I haven't seen anybody say anything about turning this ship around. People are talking about, the GDP print was great, but what about the next one? What about 2024?
Hmm.
I'm not going to disagree, but I'm just saying, look, typically when everybody gets bearish, that tends to be the time when we actually turn around.
Did I tell you I went long bonds?
Oh God, not you too.
I did. I got sucked in.
You got to move that over a little bit.
Bill Ackman, he won. He won his argument with me. He closes his short, I go long. The great Jesse Livermore said, well, I would no longer found it right to short, so I decided, therefore, I must long. If Bill Ackman isn't short, then I guess I'll just long. But I didn't just buy TLT because, come on, that's not good enough. I bought TMF, which is a 3X.
Oh no. Oh no. I haven't even heard of that one.
Our buddy Johnny Moe introduced me to this bad boy.
A 3F TLT or 3X TLT.
Why bother going long bonds unless you're willing to go 3X long bonds?
It's like, bases loaded, 2 outs. You're calling your shot here.
Let's go. Hey, I'm in profit, baby.
You're pointing to the left field fence.
When it's down 99%, it can only go down 1% more, so I should buy.
I'll have to look at that one. Yeah,
that's boy math.
The boy math, yeah. The problem with yields is everyone's in this previous paradigm, like, oh, the yields will just snap back. They have for the past 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's buying yields or who's buying bonds. Foreign governments, no. The Fed, they're selling, no. Banks, no. They're underwater and in big trouble. It's just you and me. That's it. And we're still issuing debt like we've never issued debt before. So it's going to be a problem. I think it's a bit early, personally, but I wish you luck.
Thank you. I'm going to need it. It may go poorly. I don't know. I'm not like all in. It's just a piece. It's a piece of the puzzle. I mean, who's not long bonds and uranium and Bitcoin, right? Like totally logical mix of assets.
One thing I was looking at today was XLE again. XLE is an energy ETF. And there's been some like M&A stuff going on there lately, but the chart looks like an ascending triangle to me. So
in here.
Yeah, I'll just send you.
The quarterly chart looks like turbo dump it, but quarterly is a lot. Oh yeah, look at that. Ooh, spicy. Let's see if I can draw these lines. Josh is having a equipment malfunction today, so I have to drive.
There's something about permissions. I sent you a chart in Telegram. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's an ascending triangle. It looks decent. Yeah. We'll see. Can gold break 2K? Can ETH break 2K?
I'm a smart guy, Josh. I can draw this for you. I think the chat might even be able to just imagine it.
Can XLE break? What is that? 94, something like that.
Yeah. Depends on where you put that, but 94-ish.
I think those are all
energy.
Those are all charts worth watching.
Yeah, legacy markets are weird right now, man. It's not like the same old stuff all the time, and it makes sense when the S&P looks like this.
Well, the whole market is tech, and if tech is faltering, then the market's faltering.
Yeah.
The
overweightness of the NVIDIA.
That, by the way, is the best telegraphed and head and shoulders in a very long time. Yeah. Everyone's watching that thing.
Nice weekly chart. Look at that. Oh, baby.
Look at that gap fill, too. If you want a hero trade.
Here you go.
You ready? NVDS, I think, is the ticker. It is a leveraged short NVIDIA.
There you go. $300 NVIDIA on deck.
Yeah. It looks good.
This looks too easy, doesn't it?
It does, but hey, I mean, there's a reason these fractals play out. Put your stop above the most recent high and see what happens.
All right. This is Josh's financial advice for the trade today.
It's definitely not.
Most recent high. We'll give you a little bit of wiggle room on top of that. Target, $314. You got a 2.4 R risk reward, 10% downside, 23%. upside. Easy trade. Welcome to trading with Carpe Noctem.
I like
Join
the
us paid
chart
for
pattern.
$50 a month. You can pay ledgerstatus.eth.
I just like the chart pattern. So it looks good. But everybody sees that. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, I actually like that everybody sees that. People know. Again, like Link, right? People know that there's a horizontal there. People have stops. People are paying attention.
Amazon beat, all these companies beat in earnings and then got clobbered and then now gapped up and is mooning. I mean, looking like a nice weekly candle on that. But not all of them are doing that.
That Amazon chart could play out as a inverted head and shoulder.
Inverted.
Yeah.
Inverted. Yeah. With the 200, that's its 200-week moving average too. Buy Amazon at 140. Sell when you're ready to retire.
Well, back to this idea about everybody being bearish legacy. On the SPY and the QQQ, there's a cup and handle. I don't know if it plays out, but it's not there, you know?
What are you talking about?
Cup and handle? The cup starts in 2021.
This?
Yeah, there you go.
It's a deep handle.
Yeah, so anything below the 50% level is a nullification criteria for that pattern.
Could it also be this? Welcome to your new job at McDonald's.
That would be ugly. I mean, don't look at IWM. IWM
Dude,
looks
it is the ugliest chart I've ever seen in my life.
Absolute death. Death warmed over. But if you just look at some of these random charts like Ford, PayPal, Square, they all look absolutely horrendous.
What am I looking at here? A weird one. Where's my IWM chart? Come on. It's down so bad I can't even find it. Oh, I'm under crypto. That's why I'm searching.
But there are shit coins that look better than some of these legacy charts.
Yeah.
These look really bad.
Look at that.
I mean, that's a multi-year support. And it doesn't look like it's turning around anytime soon.
No. This is kind of like your equal weighted equivalent too, right? Let's do equal weighted RSP. That's the equal weighted S&P 500. Look at that. Yuck.
Yeah. Not great. What sector is doing well right now besides energy? I don't even know.
Yeah, you could say some of the biggest tech, but even that looks topsy.
Financials look terrible. Regional banks look terrible.
Story Stack in the chat is saying Coinbase earnings are next Thursday. Coinbase caught a little bit of the move with crypto, but then it faded most of it. It went to 89 on the initial news, but I don't know. I still feel like Coinbase is doing some kind of basing type of pattern.
Yeah, I feel like that's a longer term.
Mm-hmm. It's not clean. Not looking at this and thinking, oh, that's the best chart I've ever seen in my life.
No, but if you're under the assumption that these ETFs are going to use Coinbase to acquire Bitcoin, that makes sense.
Whereas if you look at gold, it still looks fabulous. And we're coming up on the end of the month. So that would be a heck of a monthly close for gold.
I think I had a Twitter poll a long time ago talking about gold versus ETH, which breaks 2K first.
Actually, I don't know. Gold doesn't have to go very far to break 2K. Question is which has a chance to break 2K, and then that's a sign that it's going to 3K. And I would vote on ETH big time with that one. Whereas gold's like, congratulations, you broke 2K. Here's 2,200. It'll take a year and a half.
Yeah. I think gold has outperformed the S&P this year at this point, which is crazy.
Looks pretty good. I'm interested to watch that still. Oil has had a nice recovery the past month. Yeah, I don't know. There's some shakiness in the market, that's for sure. But crypto's not feeling most of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness all over the place.
Yeah. trader's market right now. If you have a hot hand.
Most alts doing poorly.
Yes.
There is like this double bottom fractal on all the like shittiest of shitcoins, the mid to low caps. Which
pulled up ape.
Yeah, there you go. Great example. But my thing is like, what do you do with this? Do you
leave it for its grave?
But do you trade it as a W and hold that until the 200-day moving average or something, or
maybe?
Or do you assume like this is the cycle bottom?
Not I mean, for me, those would be temporary trades for stuff like that.
Yeah. But there's a lot of charts that look like that, where it's like this false hope of maybe they make a third like right shoulder and then they go. I don't know, but
yeah.
Another one is ARK that looks like it's ready. Yeah, ARKK to nose her down. It had been building a multi-month inverted head and shoulders as well, but does not look pretty there.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to fail that.
Yeah.
That's rough. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like for us, the Bitcoin trade is finally looking like it's,
I'm just shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. We aren't selling off,
Yeah. It looks pretty good. There's opportunities if it does go down, buy 30K, 28K if you get real aggressive.
Yeah.
See what you get.
And the better we can close the end of the year, the better those slide decks for those salespeople look relative to, relative to gold, relative to S&P, relative to TLT, right? Like you can't argue against it.
Yeah.
It's the best performing asset in the past 13 years, 10 years out of the past 13.
ETF analyzers.
Yeah. I mean,
bring them on. Bring them on.
Love it.
Yeah. I have to have a quick day today, so I think we can leave it there. I think
Sounds
it's pretty clean.
Yeah.
Pre-ETF moves in Bitcoin. Can it sustain? Come back next Friday to find out.
Come back next Friday to see if ETH BTC still exists.
It'll be rough. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate y'all. Sorry, I know it's a quick show, but we'll see you next week. Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe. Oh, the chains, oh, the chains, Lord, the chains, come release me from the chains.